I think sharing what's going on in your life with other carers is really important, because no one can empathise quite the same as someone else who's going through the same situation. So you get that true empathy from someone who is really living it, and the bits that people don't tend to see, because on the really bad days you often don't go out, so people don't see those days and those hours.
One person who had similar issues, who was of a West Indian background, but there were other people that I'd come across who, may not have a Caribbean background, but had, they may have been immigrants or had come from Ireland, and had other experiences, and there were things that were in common, but we didn't have a sort of official group, if you like, network.
By talking to other people and sharing, you learn about it, and you probably can dare, not on first meeting, ask what's going to happen next, because I knew nothing about dementia when my mother had dementia, and I know a lot more now. And also there is an element of sharing laughter and funny stories. I mean, they're not that funny, but they can sound funny in recounting it, the mistake, the language mistake that somebody made, and that sort of thing. You can share those. You also, like Keith said, learn about yourself by sharing the experience with others, because some people are going to be more patient than, say, I am, and some people are going to be more withdrawn than I am, and so you sort of you learn about different kinds of caring. I mean, every carer is we're all individuals, and every carer is different.
I think for me, I had a huge amount of guilt about the things I didn't think I was doing right, and so when you have other people sort of who've also gone through that and say, well, you are only human, you can't get it perfect every single moment, and things are going to get to you sometimes. You only do the best you can at that time, and that actually helped me a lot, because I just felt like I wasn't doing what I should be doing, and to have other people actually kind of sharing their experiences and how they were feeling, it made me feel like it's not just me.
It was important to have that sort of exchange or support, or at least sharing, because honestly, at that stage, you think you're the only person in the world. You think you feel guilty, because you're thinking, oh my God, well, what do I have to tell? You have to sort of, be careful that you're not going to end up shouting at your parent because she's behaving like a child when she's ill, So it's difficult.
When people are first diagnosed with dementia, the carer is also learning as well. So it's very much being able to share ideas, perhaps with people with more experience of carers. And different people have different dementias, so it's not always this one thing doesn't fit each person.
It's the caring that draws you together, but it's an opportunity to talk about things other than your caring, because, of course, you need a separation when you can get that. And if you're a full-time carer, those opportunities are not that common.
You do need your own space for your own activities. And it was during that time with me that I started doing, well, luckily I had the opportunity, going out doing line dancing, going out doing something I'd never done before, something completely different.
It's so important for the carers perhaps to also have their conversation amongst other carers so that they can share. But it's so important, just the sharing, the communication. And there's no right or wrong way, because everybody is different. So it's trying to do the best with the carer, communicating, discussing, and doing the best for each individual.
And ideally, you would be able to confide perhaps with a carer, another carer, in a way that you can't do with your family. You don't want, with your other family, you don't want your children to put your load on your children when your parent is, you feel you can't share it. It's not exactly private, but you might be able to do this. I didn't have this opportunity because it wasn't so open. but you could confide, and so therefore it's having a sort of psychological benefit.
It was good to be able to, obviously, to share, and it was such it was breathtaking for me. I'm just trying to think of the particular example. Oh, it was the issue around strangers, as my mum would have said, coming into the house, and how to sort of deal with that, and not feel that, not have her feel that she was suddenly being taken over and going to be moved out of the house. That was a big thing, and the house going, and her not having any control or freedom. And that was something that was shared, that was understood by other people. And so we sort of shared ways of dealing with that.
By sharing, I'm sort of speaking personally, but I feel it must be general. Not only are you not alone, but you're not hiding. You're not hiding from anyone. And perhaps you lose fear because you've learned more and you're with other people and they're still standing. And you lose shame. And there's not so much shame around now, but there was, when my mother had dementia, there was a shame that I didn't quite feel it, but there was a lot of shame among other people who would keep it all private to themselves, not go out with people. And there's an element of embarrassment as well, that sometimes. So those things that I think you lose those when you realize that you're not the only one doing this. So I think psychologically, it's really good for you.
This thing about the shame and hiding things. And when I first started, I carried on going to my aerobic sessions a couple of times a week. So I knew I needed them, and intuitively I knew they were good for me from the emotional point of view. I was socially, some of my best friends are at my aerobics and sessions. I still go to them now. And I knew that my fitness, it helped. I didn't tend to tell people because I was a bit ashamed that I was still going off and doing something for myself when I should have been a carer. And someone actually, when something came out, and one of the other carers who'd been doing it a lot longer just looked at me and said, "But why wouldn't you? You've got to have a life too." And it was giving that permission to still do things for me. And I think that's something that only that peer support can help, because even if professionals tell you, you still might feel a little bit like, am I doing the right thing? It's when the people who are in the same boat as you are telling you that you're okay. I think that gives you a better feeling of, yes, it's right.
Everybody needs to share, whatever their situation.